This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. Get in, loser! Mean Girls is now streaming on Paramount Plus. Join Katie Heron as she meets the plastics in Tina Fey's new twist on the modern classic. Get ready for more of the rumors, backstabbing, and jokes you loved from the original movie with some fetch surprises. Rated PG-13. Wear pink and head to ParamountPlus.com to try it free.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 34 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Digital Federal Credit Union, but better known, as we all know them, as DCU. Every dollar counts. Now so more than ever, and DCU understands that, and they've got ways to help your money work harder for you. Like if you love your car, but not your current auto loan, refinancing with DCU could put you back in the driver's seat with a lower monthly payment. Who doesn't want a lower monthly payment? They offer the same low rates to their members for new and used vehicles. So find out what DCU could mean to you and your current auto loan when you refinance with them. Just visit DCU.org for more information. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by MistressCarrie.com. It is filled with great stuff. Every episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast is there. Every situation report, every after action report, every episode of Cocktails in the War Room. And trust me, that's a lot of stuff. Plus, there's loads of extras. There's an event calendar that's filled with live concert streams that your favorite bands are putting on right now. There's photo galleries that I'm adding to every day. I've got thousands of pictures that I can't wait for you to see. My blog is up there. So anytime I feel like writing something or making an awesome playlist, you can find it right on the website. And of course, the official Mistress Carrie online store. You can get Mistress Carrie t-shirts, Cocktails in the War Room t-shirts, my awesome hoodies with the purple flames down the sleeves, beanies to keep you warm this winter, pint glasses, shot glasses, and even beer koozies. Plus all of my links to all my social media accounts, and I'm doing my first ever exclusive live stream for people with Mistress Carrie backstage passes this weekend. You can get in on it. Just get a Mistress Carrie backstage pass on Patreon right now. The only thing you need to remember is MistressCarrie.com. Okay, this week's episode of the podcast rocks. I had a chance to catch up with Tyler Connolly from Theory of a Deadman. I've known him for years, and the last time I talked to him was the day that WAAF went off the air. Now, originally, Theory of a Deadman is from Canada. But Tyler has been holed up in LA because of COVID-19. We talked about how he's been spending his time. We talked about the band's new album. We talked about his hair. We basically talked about everything. And they have a lot of really cool stuff going on. They just launched their brand new merch store, and they're doing virtual meet and greets with fans on February 16th and 17th. And those tickets are on sale right now. Tyler's even a podcast host with his bandmate Dave Brenner. And they launched a new podcast called Band Meeting with Tyler and Dave. It was really interesting to find his perspective on what it's like to be on the other end of an interview. At times, he even started interviewing me on my own podcast. He's such a genuine guy, and he's so much fun to talk to. I know you are going to love this episode. So allow me to introduce you to Tyler Connolly from Theory of a Deadman.
Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
This is Marilyn Manson, and you're listening to the
baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie. Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
So you know you're on the record, Mr. Connolly.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good.
It's so good to see your face.
I know. You usually have you ever seen me with a hat on before?
No, it was on my list of things to talk to you about is your fantastic, fashionable, like pompadour thing.
Yes.
That you got going on. And so normally, you're a tall guy anyway. What are you, 6'5", 6'6"?
No, probably 6'4". I would say 6'4".
Okay, well, the pompadour gives you those extra couple inches then.
Yeah.
And so I was going to ask you about that because it's a very retro kind of hairstyle that you're bringing back into fashion.
Yeah, and it's funny now the conversations are about how long do I keep the pompadour? Does it keep receding back till I start doing it kind of backwards? I don't know. But yeah, it's funny because it started like in 2008 on our third record. We were doing a photo shoot and the stylist lady was like, "So what do you do with your hair?" And I was like, "I have no idea. I'm clueless." And she's like, "Let me try a couple things." So she gave me like this weird thing where my hair was in front of my eyes. It was so bad. And we did some shots and the photographer's like, "I don't know, man." And she's like, "Let me try something else." And she did the pompadour and everyone was like, "This is cool." And I was
it's very rockabilly. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I don't want to say forced, but I love the hairstyle. It's but yeah, it's I don't do it every day when I'm at home. I never do it.
Well, it requires effort and products and a little bit of time that if you're a guy, you're not used to. Ladies are very used to that prep time that's required to leave the house the way we want to be seen.
Yep.
Applying the war paint and such.
I was saying that to Dave the other day from our guitar player from our band. I was saying I'm like, you know what, being a guy, I don't want to hear guys ever complain because that's just what you're saying. Like guys can just literally wake up in the morning and that's it. That's just what you get, ladies. But
well, not only that, but you guys are always like, hurry up, you're running late. Meanwhile, you want us to look and smell good, and that takes time and preparation.
That's right. Yeah. So guys have it made in that department where, what's the worst I have to do? Shave? And then guys can grow beards. And then they get the same thing. They don't have to do that anymore.
Just make sure there isn't like food. That's the only thing. Like I don't have a problem with beards, but I hate it when like there's like stuff in there.
Yeah.
And they're not clean and
it's not sexy.
Yeah, it's like cuz we're the ones that have to get up all in there. You know, I guess it's the same thing for any part of your body. We're the ones that got to get all up in there. So can you just be kind and do a little work maintenance?
I always wondered about that. Do women like, because I love Magnum P.I., but he's like the hairiest man. Like he's all the chest hair and he's got the big mustache. And then you always see like a scene where he's making out with a girl in the show. And then I'm like, so is the actress like, this is amazing? Or is she like, this is just the mustache?
Well, back then, the mustache was, I mean, Magnum, he had the stash, you know? It's just tickly. It's like either shave or have it not be rough. It's like when you guys don't shave for a couple days and it's rough like a Brillo pad and scratches our face, that kind of sucks. But once it grows in and it's a little softer, then it's okay. As long as you clean it.
All right. Yeah, there's no in between. Yeah, I'm kind of in between right now. I've got, this is maybe... I shaved this morning, so this is a couple out. No, I grow pretty fast.
I was going to say, are you one of those people that like by 5 o'clock, it looks like you haven't shaved in a week?
Yeah, it grows pretty fast. I definitely got to shave every day.
Like the Fred Flintstone 5 o'clock shadow at noon?
The hobo where someone on a movie, they like put gray here. You can tell in old movies, you're like, yeah. It's like the fake gray to make it look like they have a 5 o'clock shadow. Mine's real.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. I haven't talked to you since WAAF got sold off and taken off the air after 50 years.
That's right. I was in a hotel room, so I couldn't tell you where I was, but I remember I was in a hotel room somewhere having that conversation, and that was sad news. But I always, I knew that you obviously are insanely talented, so excited for this.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, anybody that's been listening to the podcast, I apologize all the time for being repetitive, but when I finally get to catch up with people that I haven't talked to in a while, it's like you got to bring each other up to speed on what's going on. And, I didn't really intend on this being my full-time job. I thought, okay, AAF is gone. I'm going to end up back on the radio again, which I made those efforts in the beginning, had interviews, had conversations. But when COVID hit, everything just kind of went crazy. So I decided to build MCHQ and launch the podcast, and it's been going amazing.
Yeah, and you are the boss, so...
For better or worse.
You can fire yourself. You can give yourself a raise.
My boss is a bitch. She's so awful.
But, I mean, now you can do the, when you work. So you could sleep in now. Do you find yourself, like... Before you had to get up early, now you can sleep into like noon and say,
yeah, I mean, other than when I did nights, which was like the first 3.5 years I was on the radio, I've needed an alarm clock every day. You know what I mean? And I've never been a morning person. So not having to get up and drive into Boston every day and sit through the traffic and get up early. I mean, literally for decades, the alarm would go off. My first word would be fuck. Every day.
That's
every
great.
day. I hate getting up in the morning. It's not my thing. And what I've realized about myself is giving myself the ability to just go to bed and get up when my body wants to get up, which is weird. My body wants to be awake at 9:30 in the morning. Every day. 9:30 in the morning. That's when I wake up. It's really strange. But I've always been a night owl, so I like being up late night. I like, how some people like to get up early in the morning and have that quiet cup of coffee when the rest of the world is asleep. I like that at like 2 in the morning when the world is quiet and it's dark and I like to be up in the middle of the night.
2 a.m. Have you watched that new Night Stalker documentary?
No. No.
And
I'll tell you
man.
what, like, for as much as I love horror stuff and as much as I love skulls and all of that kind of imagery and everything that goes along with, horror and rock and roll, I can't watch stuff like that, especially stuff that's rooted in fact and reality late at night, because then I'll never go to bed. So if I was going to watch that on Netflix, I'm going to watch it at like 2 p.m.
Yeah, his friends told me to watch. It just came out. It's about some serial killer in L.A. in the 80s. It's scary. And I texted a friend saying, they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just watching that Night Stalker doc." And they're like, "At night?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Before bed?" I'm like, "Yeah." What a mistake! Like, I literally went around and checked all my windows and the door, because he would go in. That was his thing. He went in at when people were sleeping. Like, oh my God. And I live alone, so I highly recommend it. Watch it at 2 a.m. Let me know.
I'm not doing that. I'm going to call you at 2 a.m. when I'm scared shitless under the blankets and be like, "You're such an asshole. Why did you tell me to do this?"
It's crazy, like psychology of our brains, because like if you don't watch the show, it's fine. Everything's fine. But then you watch an episode of the show, then all of a sudden it's like, maybe
it opens you up to the possibility of like what could be lurking outside.
Yeah, as if. Same if you watch some ghost movie, then all of a sudden you have ghosts in your house. You're like, what was that noise?
I don't know. Where have you been riding out the pandemic? Because you're a Canadian guy, but I know that you spend a lot of time in LA. So what side of the border have you been stuck on?
I'm in LA. So
okay.
I haven't been home to Vancouver in we did a tour. We started a tour there last February 20-something. No, January 29th or something. We started a tour there. So that's when so I haven't seen my family in a year. It's weird.
Wow.
I definitely want to go home. It's weird. I miss the rain. I miss the snow. It's weird. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could come to Boston anytime you want. We have those things here.
Yeah, your weather in Boston is pretty much exactly the same as where I grew up.
Yeah, see? So I ask you that because when the pandemic really hit, when things got super weird, like mid to late March, early April, I remember going out late at night, like you take the dog out before you go to bed kind of thing. And I remember being outside at like 2 a.m. and you know, you watch the news and I was fixated on what was going on and this realization that we were living through this pandemic. And I remember being outside listening for noises and kind of being paranoid because there was that time where we were all kind of uncertain as to whether or not civilization was just going to collapse.
No, yeah. You're talking with friends, the worst, because it's all worst case scenario, right? It's like, well, what if we got to get all of our stuff and leave town? Like, what if we got to...
And I've always been a doomsday prepper. So, like, I've already got the bug out bags ready to go. I've got...
Do you?
Oh, yeah. I've had a zombie closet for years in my house. Yeah. And everybody always made fun of me. And it was so funny the first few months of the pandemic, people were calling me going, what should I have stockpiled in the house?
What is it? What is it? Because I need one. I'm one of those guys that I'm the same. I tell my friends, especially living in L.A., I'm like, you never know. We get the big earthquake happens here. First thing I'm going to shut down is gas stations. And then you don't put, my friends never put gas in their cars. They're always like on E. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are we...
Are they girls? That's a huge thing that girls do that guys always get pissed about. Yeah.
They have 12. It says I have 12 miles left. It has a little readout, 12 miles left. I'm like, I got 12 miles. I'm like, my Lord, what if something happens? So I'm always like, make sure you have a quarter tank. I'm like dad over here.
You sound just like my husband. Like if I get to a quarter of a tank, he's like, you need to go get gas.
You never know.
It's such a guy thing.
Something happens. Well, like, yeah, I always have a quarter tank. Not that I like to admit it, but I have like, you know, I got some safety cash in a safe.
Yeah,
Dave's
I do the same
obsessed
thing.
With gold. Dave's got like 12 pounds. He's Goldfinger. He's like so much bullion and stuff and it like stashed. And I'm like, what are you going to do with that? It's like Armageddon, man. You never know. I'm like, yeah, but
he's going to chip a piece off of it.
Yeah, I'm like, but in Armageddon, gold would be worth just as much as money. Wouldn't you want like gas? When is it going to be like Mad Max? Like gas and first aid, isn't that going to be what you want to trade?
First aid, medicine, water.
Water. Yeah, he got mad when I said that.
And then the biggest thing that I stockpile is cheap vodka.
Which is what? What is cheap vodka? The plastic bottle?
Yeah, big gallons of cheap vodka because you can weaponize it. You can sanitize with it. Yeah. You can get drunk with it, and you can trade it.
That's actually a good idea. And what are they, like $7 for a gallon?
I've got like 30 gallons of vodka in the house because you just
Russian Zone or something it's called.
Exactly. And dehydrated food. I mean, you're in LA, so stuff. Like, do you have like the space to be able to stock? Are you like in an apartment, or do you actually have like a house with some space? Because people that live in the cities that have these little apartments, like in New York, they don't have the space to be able to stockpile anything.
No, I got a full house here, and
okay, so you got the room.
I'm good. Yep. I could build a full. I've thought about building like a panic room. You know, like somewhere I could run and like you push a button, the door like comes down, and I've got all these cameras in there. I could speak to the people that are in my house trying to like, mommy, well. But
like
I don't know, but like the Purge. But, you know, Dave's more into he's got throwing knives and swords and stuff hidden in his house as if like a knight will come there and challenge him.
He's going to get attacked by ninjas.
But yeah, so that's what you have in your kit? First aid,
I have all
vodka.
kinds of stuff. Like I have a garden. And I love to cook, so I can stuff. And so I've always kind of been that person that my sister actually bought me this really cool piece of gear. And it's this plastic bag, and you unroll it and you put it in your tub. It fits in a tub, and you fill it up, and it holds like 100 gallons of fresh water in your tub.
Ah, yes.
And it's like $25 or something. But if if there's a chance that you could get some kind of disruption in your water supply, at least you've got in your tub. And it's sealed up in plastic as opposed to just filling your bathtub because it'll slowly leak through the drain and your dog's going to stick its ass in there.
Your husband's having a bath.
Yeah, and you're like, that's our fresh water.
Yeah. Oh, and you're like, I can still drink it. It's fine.
The one thing that I didn't understand when all of this happened was like the toilet paper thing.
Yeah.
That freaked me out because it's like, you guys know you can wipe your ass with almost anything, right?
Or you can just walk, but the old bidet style. I mean,
yeah, wet
go in the
wipes.
shower.
I mean, everybody's got old socks. There are plenty of ways to clean your butt. Like you should be buying other stuff that you can actually eat or drink or, medicines, baby supplies.
So what's the deal? Is it large families? I never got that whole thing.
Americans are full of shit, I think. I think that's just the end of the day. That's just what
Literally.
it is. Literally, yeah.
That's why, yeah. Not to take a swipe.
Yeah. Oh, how has that been for you being a Canadian stuck in the United States with all of this craziness over the last year?
Well, I'm actually dual, so
Oh, you're a dual guy now? I didn't know that.
I have both, so I can flash. I'm almost a spy now. I say that now. I've got I just need some weapons. Then I have multiple passports now.
You're like Jason Bourne.
I'm Jason Bourne, same body. Same skills.
You need a less conspicuous hairdo, though. It's a good thing you got the baseball hat on today.
The pompadour definitely gives me away.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
The hat is fantastic.
But you can grow a beard in less than 24 hours, so that's really good for disguises.
I'm pretty sure when we started this interview, I was clean shaven. It's already scratchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The beard, though, I don't know. I'm starting to get some grays in here, and I'm not putting in just for men in my beard.
Yeah,
weird.
you can look a little weird. It goes cartoony really, really quickly.
You look like the dude. Who was that? Who was the guy that was always on coke that did the commercials? He always yelling, and then didn't he die in an airplane, had a heart attack? You know, that guy he sold that stuff.
Oh, OxyClean.
Yes,
the OxyClean guy. Yeah,
big black beard. OxyClean.
Yeah, you can tell that he definitely was just fermenting that beard because it was unnaturally black.
Yes, there was a
like
little
he
bit
colored
of white
it with a
around
Sharpie.
Here.
Yeah,
on his mustache there was some white from something else. But rest in peace, OxyClean man.
And we apologize for insinuating you may or may not have been on cocaine.
That's true. Mistress Carrie does not. I don't want to get sued.
I'm not making. Look, I just started my company, Tyler. You can't get me sued already. I don't have a radio station anymore to back me up with the lawyers.
The press, though, all press is good press. That's what they told us.
That's what they used to say. I don't know. With the way the world is in the last couple years, I don't know if that's true anymore.
Now it's almost no press is fantastic. You're like, no one's talking about me. Finally, yes.
The rule used to be that if nobody's talking about you, you're not doing your job right. Like that you had to have haters as well as fans. Otherwise, nobody was even paying attention.
Yeah, that's who was it said that once you get sued, you're famous or something like that. And I'm like, it's probably true. Once you're famous, people assume you have money. So it's like, boom.
Yeah.
Let's get some cash from these people.
Why not?
I've never been sued, so.
Well, that'll change if you keep bragging about it.
Yeah, I don't need to be sued. I'm fine.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You just keep doing what you're doing. So where are the rest of the guys in the band? Are they all scattered? Have you guys been able to get together at all?
No. I mean, it sucks too because, all these other bands are doing live streaming and we're like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool if we did like a live stream. But yeah, Dean is in Canada. Joe lives in Vegas, which is the closest to me. And then Dave lives in Tennessee, soon to be Alabama. So we're all over the place, but we do like Saturday we have a band Zoom where we just get on there and we just hang out. It's nice.
Okay, hold on. If there's a sponsor, they're going to put their message right here. Okay, back to my interview with Tyler Connolly from Theory of a Deadman. Technology has helped. Can you imagine if we had gone through this kind of pandemic and shut down like in the 80s or early 90s?
Yeah.
Like what the hell we would have been standing by the wall with the corded landline trying to talk to our friends, annoyed when the call waiting went off.
I would have had to have read a book. That would have been the worst.
I know you're not a big New Year's resolution guy, but this year,
right.
Just because I spend so much time in front of screens,
yes,
that I told myself it would be really nice for stress and whatever to just kind of unplug. And so I started reading some books this year just to.
Yeah.
Which
ones?
nothing informative. I like, like trashy vampire stuff. I'm a girl.
What's the Twilight? Twilight? Is
no,
that
not sparkly vampires. No, there's actually this really cool. I've been talking about it. This it's a British show on Sundance. It's called A Discovery of Witches.
Oh.
And it's written by a historian in California, and it weaves in all historical stuff about like Elizabethan England and the Salem witch trials and kind of all of that into this story that's about witches and demons and vampires and stuff. And it's called A Discovery of Witches. And I bought all 3 books, and each one of them was over 700 pages. I was like, I'm never going to finish these books. And I read all 3 of them, and the month's not even over yet.
Wow.
I just got sucked into them, and I couldn't put them down.
Where isn't Salem around where you are?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's like an hour from here.
That
Have
witch
you ever
stuff
been?
is creepy. I've never been.
With all the
I'm into
times
that
that
stuff.
you've come to Boston or come to Massachusetts or New England with Theory of a Deadman to play shows, it makes me so sad that bands never really get enough downtime to enjoy
Yes, I know.
the places they visit.
Yeah, and it's tough too because you get a day off somewhere, and sometimes it is the weather. First off, kind of hinders your tourism, or you're just tired and you're like, I just need a day of just not doing anything. So it kind of, it does suck. But
Or you don't know where to go.
Or you don't know where to go. I would love to go to Salem. You know what I want to find in Salem is witches, but I want to, no one talks enough about warlocks, which are male witches, right? Isn't that a male witch?
Or wizards. I think it depends. In the book I was reading, they called them wizards.
Wizards.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I'm not an expert. But I know people that could inform you on such things professionally.
I'm down for all that stuff.
Well, I'm offering
into
the
it.
Mistress Carrie tour the next time that you guys
Yes.
are in town. That now that I make my own schedule, I can make myself available. I'll take you all over. Salem's awesome.
You could get a kickback from the Salem tourism department or something.
Sure. I'll take you all
Sending
through
people
Boston. You can go, all the revolutionary stuff and Paul Revere, and I'll walk the Freedom Trail with you and do the whole thing.
All the historical places, like what's that place by the baseball field that has like the bowling in it and stuff?
Fenway Park?
No, yeah, and there was I don't know if it's still there. It was
No, the bowling alley at Fenway is gone. It's all sports bars
Oh,
and
is it?
stuff in there now.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. They realized how much that real estate was worth.
Yeah, when we first played, the first time we ever played Boston, I think, was with Three Doors Down. Would have been 2003, maybe, and it would have been Avalon. Remember Avalon?
Yeah, it's part of the House of Blues now.
Yeah, and then what was the place beside it called? It was a smaller club.
Axis.
Axis, that's it. So
That was
played-
like the rock club, the dirty rock club in there. I loved Axis.
Yeah, and then they tore those both down and made a big, which I think is the best House of Blues. It's the biggest, I think.
Is it? I mean, the
think so.
original House of Blues was in Cambridge over by Harvard, and it was literally a blue house. When they first built it,
Oh,
the
really?
first House of Blues was in Cambridge. And they couldn't get big enough acts because it was so small. They couldn't sell enough tickets to be able to draw the big name acts in. And everybody was really sad when they got rid of the original House of Blues. And then obviously, they made these amazing venues, and they make them, I just talked a couple weeks ago. Do you know Frank Scambolone? He was Godsmack's sound guy for years, and he's toured with everybody. Okay, so I had Frank, who lives in Salem, by the way, ironically.
Oh, wow.
So he'll hook us up when we go on this tour. We were talking about the difference between mixing sound in like a sporting arena where it's not built for good sound versus a place like the House of Blues that is constructed for the acoustics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we played every single House of Blues, I think, other than the original one. They tore down the LA one, that's gone. But the New Orleans one is still kind of cool. It's really small. I think it's the smallest one they got, but it's pretty cool because it's right on. Is it Beale Street? What is the main drag there?
Bourbon
Street. Sorry. Yeah. Beale Street is.
I've never been to New Orleans. That's a bucket list
Really?
for me to go down there. Yeah, I've never been.
It's great because, If you go during Mardi Gras too, it's just nuts.
Well, it's one of those things that I want to do it once. Everybody says, oh, it's crazy and there's puke everywhere. And I just want to do it one time.
Yeah, you can go down there and get drunk. You can puke. You can urinate in the streets.
Flash your boobs. Get the beads.
Yeah.
I want to see all of the parades and to see the Indians. And I love the culture. I love the music scene. I love cities that are centered around music, like Nashville or New Orleans, where it's just part of the fabric of the city.
And the food. You think about like Creole and a lot of that food down there is fantastic. Oh yeah, well they have that famous. It's that famous. I don't know what it is, but they make the little donuts.
Yeah.
Beignets.
Yeah, beignets.
So it's a famous place, and you go there to get the beignets, and there's a massive half-an-hour lineup to get them.
It's like when you go to the north end of Boston, and there's the line to get cannolis at Mike's Pastry. It's like that's where all the tourists go. That's where everybody goes. But the locals always know that the little place around the corner actually makes better ones, and nobody goes there because it's not the trendy place to check in on Instagram.
Well, you got to take a photo in front of it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I was in New Orleans once, and I went. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get one of these things. And I went there, and on the way there, because I'm a musician, this is what I do. When I pass a busker, if they're a musician that's busking, asking for money, on the street, I always give them money. It's just for me, it's kind of paying it forward. So it's silly. So I passed this dude on the street playing guitar, and I gave him $20. And I wait in line for half an hour to get these beignets and get the front. And they're $3. They're cheap.
At the Cafe Du Monde, right?
That's
the famous place.
Cafe Du Monde.
Yep.
I was going to say the World Cafe. That's close. And I get to the front, and they're like, what do you want? I'm like, I get some beignets. Like, here you go. It's $3. And I'm like, give him my credit card. And he's like, cash only. I'm like, I look in my wallet.
And you gave the street performer all your cash.
$20. I'm like, motherfucker. So I'm like, do you guys have like a... Yeah, you guys have an ATM here? He's like, nope. Next. I was like, I was so angry.
That's a bad business plan that they don't have an ATM. I mean, that's all the strip clubs make all their money because they put the charge on the ATM, and you got to have the ATM.
I was so angry. I was like almost going to like just storm back to the bus and refuse. I was like, nope. But I walked a couple blocks and I found an ATM and I went back, waited in line again.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah. But hey, I paid it forward. That's the whole lesson here.
That's
kids.
right. When you do get a chance to travel for fun, where have you gone in the world that you are like, okay, when I'm going to go back there just for a good time or whatever, that you loved the food, the people, the booze, the music,
for
whatever
a
it
good
was.
Time?
Did I lose you? Oh, there you are.
Australia. I'm here.
Okay.
Australia. Phenomenal. I love Hawaii. I love Hawaii. I've been there a gazillion times. I'll go there anytime. And I'm into golf now, so I'll go to Hawaii by myself and just go play some golf.
Doesn't Dave Draymond from Disturbed live out there?
I don't know.
I think he does.
I should find out. I know there's some people that live out there.
How did you get sucked into golf?
You know what? It was the other guys in the band just did it. I didn't play golf at all. And we just started playing, and I sucked. And I don't know what happened. I just decided to try to get better at it. Now I'm screwed. But there's a lot of musicians that golf. It's crazy. I know.
I know. And it's something, I mean, like somebody like Alice Cooper is supposed to be like a fantastic golfer. I just don't understand. I guess maybe the quest for that perfect shot, or that you're competing against yourself, but it's still a social thing. I just like to drive the cart and drink.
That's fun. It's I love driving the car and drinking. It's you know what it is? It's so difficult to hit the perfect shot. It's like 1 in 100, So it's so different than like music. It's like, Tyler, hit a G chord. It's like, eh. So it's like when you play golf, it's like, Tyler, hit this ball onto the green, and then you hit it 5 times and it doesn't go on the green. You're like, I quit. I hate this sport. I quit. Sucks. And they're like, do you quit? No, let's go. All right, I'll play. I don't know. It's almost like maybe it's the dichotomy of being a musician, and I don't know.
Or you just like to punish yourself.
It's
torture.
Is that S or M? Which one is it? Is it sadism or is it masochism? Which one is the one where you like to punish yourself?
I think that's a masochist.
It's a masochist? Yeah.
I think a sadist is somebody that likes to hurt other people.
Right. So I'm a masochist. I like to just abuse myself. I don't know. That's it. That's so sad.
That's the beauty of this podcast. You just never know what's going to come out. We were on the radio. It was like, hurry up. We got to get the commercials in. We got to play another song. And now I never would have known you were a masochist if we were on the radio right now because we would have run out of time.
Also, on radio, you're so afraid of saying the F-bomb. Yep. Even now in this, I'm afraid. Even like interviewing with you, I'm like, don't say the F-bomb. Don't, It
is weird to be able to say it. And people tell me all the time when they listen to the podcast, they're like, it's so weird to hear you swear. Because for 22 years on the air, I didn't. And I'm like, you didn't hear me the other, 19 hours of my day. I had to make up for the time.
And you get home and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, what happened today? I wasn't allowed to say it. So you're getting it.
Yeah. All the fucks all the time, honey.
There's no dump button, right?
There isn't. No.
We did a thing years ago. It was an acoustic show live at some bar or something like that for a radio station, and they didn't have a delay. And I said the F word on air live, and the program director was watching, and they almost like dropped our song, and he was just like, his arms went up. I was like, I'm so sorry.
How do you not have a dump button?
I mean,
it's literally one of the worst things that can happen with a radio station is that you can get fined by the FCC.
Yeah.
So why would you not have a dump button? It doesn't make any sense.
Especially too, like there was an audience there. So what if someone from the audience starts screaming out stuff, and you're like, it's going in the mic. So
maybe their audience wasn't that bad. An AAF audience, we always made sure the delay was going because as much as I love you all that are listening, you can't be trusted. That's why we can't have nice things.
No, that's true. Even though I do love the Boston Bruins.
You are and always have been a hockey guy, and I have this amazing picture of me with a bunch of the Bruins we're all wearing Theory of a Deadman shirts because you guys, whenever you go anywhere, guys from the team in that town always show up because you guys are such huge hockey fans. Yeah,
we've I do remember playing there. We had a bunch of guys come out, but it's almost every town we play, we get hockey players come out, and we're friends with some of the guys. I don't know what it is, but hockey players love rock and country. It's just I don't know. A lot of them are Canadian. That could help too.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt. I mean, you guys are, you're the home team when you.
As long as you're not a Rangers fan, I'm fine.
It is weird watching hockey on TV with no crowd, right? It's got to be really weird for the players.
They have cardboard cutouts. I think
but the noise.
Yeah.
Hockey fans are just so into it and passionate and screaming and banging on the boards and all the music that's in there. And going to a hockey game is so interactive compared to some of the other major sports.
Yes.
Because there's so much other stuff going on that it must be weird for them.
And I'll say that's one of the things that we've done. We've tried to go to every arena, every NHL arena. I think we've been to almost every single one. We finally went to Montreal, which is like one of the most iconic venues ever. It's still the same one they've had for years. We just went there a few years ago. But we went to Vegas for the first time when they built that arena. That's got to be one of the best games we've ever seen. It was so loud. I mean, they got slot machines in the arena. It's so cool.
I spent a lot of time in Vegas, like 6 months before AAF went off the air. It's actually where I was the week after AAF went off the air, and I saw Bush out there at the House of Blues. Ironically, that's the last concert I saw in 2020, and it is shocking how passionate sports fans in Vegas are. Like, they're so happy to have teams of their own that it's like the gear is in every store. There's stickers. It's up on the billboards. Now that they got a football team too, it's like.
Yeah, they took the Raiders. Yeah. It's the first thing you think is like, why didn't they do this years ago? That's the first thing I thought.
The gambling.
I'm like, Oh, was that what it was?
The leagues were worried about the gambling, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, when are they getting what's left? Basketball?
And baseball, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and baseball. Yes, of course.
Well, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you, because you've been doing all these like cover song things to keep yourself occupied on social media and stuff. And you covered Sweet Caroline, which in Boston at a Red Sox game.
That's right.
It's an every game thing.
Bum, bum, bum. Well, maybe they can play the cover I did there in the future.
Maybe.
Wouldn't that be awesome? That'd be
I'm
amazing.
a huge fan of cover songs. And as a musician, if you're going to cover an iconic song, you got to kind of make the choice of sticking more true to the original or really kind of going off and making the song your own.
Right.
How do you decide which way to go?
It's just in the moment, I guess. I actually try to almost emulate the singer a bit. I think that's kind of cool. I mean, some people want to hear me do my own version of something, but I don't know. When I was singing Sweet Caroline, there was just like, there's just something about like pretending I was Neil Diamond. I was like touching me, like this vibrato and stuff. I dug it. I just do it for fun. So
You got to get a sequin jacket. That'll really put you in the mood.
Yes.
Some satin pants.
My parents went and saw Neil Diamond when I was a kid. And they were just like, it was so amazing. He came out with this huge wig on and long hair, and then he like ripped his wig off. I guess it was back like, maybe he wore wigs for a while or something.
Yeah.
And then finally when he was like, he finally did the John Travolta, he's finally like, enough's enough. And he just
Well, that's
ripped
what
his
you
hair
were
out.
talking about earlier. It's like you got to make that decision when the hair starts to go. When do you commit? Or do you go
Yes.
Elton John and just say, okay, I'm getting the plugs, I'm getting the weave.
Yes.
Stick it back on.
Yeah, or Captain, William Shatner. He stuck with it. He's got to be, 90 now or something? He's still
Something
wearing
like that.
Wearing the rugs. Looks great.
Like one of his best friends is Henry Rollins. And it seems just like the strangest thing in the world. And it's like, they're both such weird dudes. It's like, I just want to be the fly on the wall to just hang out in the room and listen to what those two talk about. Because it's a very unlikely pair.
Yeah. It's like Black Flag. What would they talk about?
But they do. They're actually really good friends. I think Henry Rollins goes to his house for Thanksgiving every year. Legitimately. It's very strange.
That's pretty cool. How do they not have like an Odd Couple podcast or some reality show? Like, come on, who is not going to want to see Henry Rollins and William Shatner trying to give each other directions in LA or something? You know what I mean?
Do like deep fry
parking.
a turkey in the driveway.
Yeah, like I would watch that. Please do it. That'd be so
please. You started a podcast with Dave from the band.
Yeah.
How has it been for you to be on that side of the microphone?
We love it. We just do it for, shits and gigs. I hit up Dave one day because I actually wanted to try to do my own radio thing years ago. Because I think
you got the pipes for it, man. Seriously.
I got the face for it. So that's what my mom said.
Hey, what are you saying? I did that for over 20 years. What are you saying about me?
I'm a man.
Nice save.
I know that's terrible. But I tried to do like a radio. I didn't try, but I asked about doing a radio show like 10 years ago. Something like Sixth Sense, Nikki Sixx had his own kind of thing, and I loved it. I kind of co-hosted it a couple times, and then one time the producer called me and said, Nikki can't do the show because I live not far from there where they do it, and like, can you just come in and just host it? I'm like, yep. And I literally just drove over there, and they're like, thank you so much. And I had such a blast, and so I just hit up Dave and said, I was thinking about doing a podcast, but I don't want to do it on my own. I feel like I need a partner. And he's like, I'm too busy. And then he literally called me back 2 days later. I'm in.
I'm really not that busy. There's a pandemic.
Yeah. Well, he's got kids, and he's like, his wife is she's a doctor. So, she's a
little busy right now.
She's super busy, and he's a stay-at-home dad. And I think he just was like, I need time away. I need if I can get an hour a week, I can get a nanny. Yeah, so
and an excuse to lock himself in a soundproof room.
Yep.
I can sympathize. Yeah.
We dig it. And we just like, we've had some friends on and stuff, and we're not sure where it's going to go, but we do what we're doing. We just talk and hang out, and it goes where it goes. So it's been fun.
It is interesting though, because over the years, I've never been on your side, meaning I've never been the musician. I have zero musical ability whatsoever. But it always made me laugh when bands would come in the studio or they'd sit down backstage to do an interview with me and they'd be uncomfortable. And I'm like, you realize in an hour you're going to get up in front of 20,000 people with a microphone in your hand, and that's totally fine. But this intimate one-on-one or small group conversation where you can't see the people that are listening to you talk, that would weird them out. I just always thought that was funny.
Well, I have a question for you then. When you're on the radio and it's like starts, do you go into like a Mistress Carrie? Do you become something, or are you just you all the time? I know that's a weird question.
I'm just me all the time. It's how I am. But when I first started, because I had never intended on being a DJ, right? I applied to be a producer, and then I had always had the purple hair, and they kind of asked like, hey, have you thought about it? You should try it. I had a really hard time because I was alone. So I'm in this room in 1998, so it's not like I had the internet the way that I have it now or whatever. And somebody gave me, maybe it was the consultant, I think his name was Tom Barnes, that was the early consultant at AAF, and he was like, the secret to it is to talk to just one person in your head. Just to have a conversation with one person that's listening. And because you're in a room by yourself, I had a really hard time visualizing that. So no word of a lie, he's up there on the shelf over there in MCHQ. I bought a Mr. Potato Head.
Oh, really?
And I put him on the console every night, and I would talk to Mr. Potato Head. And it helped me kind of visualize that one person that could be listening, because you are different when you're like, when you go up on stage and you're talking to the crowd, you're very acutely aware that there's thousands of people in front of you. If you go on the radio and you talk like there's thousands of people, it's like you're yelling and projecting at them, and it's not the beauty of radio where it's this intimate live conversation.
Well, that's what I was asking, because when I would think most musicians would agree, like off stage, you're a completely different person than when the intro rolls, you just snap into something.
You're performing.
You become a performer. Like 10 minutes before the show, I'm just like backstage watching TV or something. And then as soon as the intro rolls, like I become the guy that you see on stage, which is for the hour and a half, I'm whatever. And and if you ever come out of that guy, it becomes weird. It's almost like you just,
like you don't have any clothes on.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. And it happens sometimes. And all the guys can agree, like sometimes you get on stage and it's like all of a sudden you kind of go, where I'm on stage, and you start looking at everybody, and then you'll screw up, you'll play a wrong chord, and you're like, come on, man, snap out of it. It's almost snap into it. So I was curious that with radio, but it's interesting, like, so if someone came and you came in there and someone had played a joke and stolen your Mr. Potato Head, would that throw you off?
In the beginning, it would have it was really weird, because the concept of talking to people you can't see, it's just very unnatural to sit in a padded room and talk to yourself and not be on lithium.
Yeah, that's right. Because even now, like, I think you're real.
Yeah. Last time, I'm wearing real underwear. So, yeah, I think so.
So it's a lot easier to do this than, if I had to do this and you weren't there. I would, yeah. I mean, it's
interesting. The way I talked to Morgan from Seven Dust, and we were talking about the Seven Dust live stream, and I asked how that was for him, that you're there on stage with the production, with your band members, the other people you go into battle with, like you're talking about 10 minutes before you're on, you're watching TV, and then you get into that mode. And when you're in a band, you've got those other guys or girls in the band that you all get in that mode together. But he was like, and then we would go into a song, and then the song was over, and it was just quiet, and there was no feedback. There was nothing. And I said, Morgan, you are experiencing what it's like to be a radio DJ. That's what it's like. Yeah. Because there's no instant feedback. I mean, there's text lines. You could get tweets from people, but you could say something funny, and you don't know if the joke landed. You don't know what the response is because you don't hear a laugh in return.
Yeah.
And
then,
it's
of course,
weird.
How do you know if it's working? Someone has to tell you. That joke you told yesterday, fell flat. You're like,
and
okay,
by
I'll
then
remember
it's
that.
too fucking late. Yeah, exactly. So it's a very, very strange and sometimes unnatural thing. Now that I've gotten into podcasting, obviously, and now that the world, rock radio stations in general have been changing, especially because of the pandemic, downsizing, centralizing things. It may be a very kind of old-fashioned and old-school mentality, but I still see such value because it's live and it's localized and it's this intimate relationship with people. And I feel like radio has that, whereas a lot of other forms of media don't. That you're literally, like I knew the last 5 minutes when WAAF was on the air. And we were playing Black Sabbath, which was our last song. I knew in that moment that me and Mike Shue and all the other people on the staff and everybody that was listening, we were all experiencing that song and that moment and that experience simultaneously in real time. We were all feeling the same sadness and all those things. It's hard to do that when it's pre-recorded. You know what I mean? It's hard to do that when it's a podcast, when you can listen to it at your leisure, as opposed to I have to listen to it right now because it's happening live.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I like what you said, localized, because that's what it was. Me and someone else were talking about radio and why it'll always be important. I said, and we talked because it's local. You will actually talk to people that you can consider your friends and neighbors because they drove in the same crappy traffic or it's the same crappy weather. So you kind of like the localized thing is totally what it is. There's a connection there that you don't have with, as people enjoy something like Howard Stern. They don't listen to Howard Stern because they're connected to him because he's watching the Boston Bruins. Or he watched them lose last night and got blown out by the Rangers. That would never happen.
I know that you are kind of like that radio guy because you're doing radio guy things. Like you're making these playlists on Spotify.
Yeah.
And it's fun, right? Like picking music that, like turning people on to other music that you really like, that you think other people might like.
Yeah, the last one I did was kind of a bit more rock. But I think the one I did before that was like really searching for some stuff out there that I found that a lot of people would be like, what is this? Some pop stuff and some alternative stuff. But yeah, I enjoy putting little playlists together. My management always bumps me. They send me an email like, we got to update your playlist. Send a new playlist. Send 12 to 15 songs. I'm like, 12 to 15 songs? All right. And then I have to go make sure I don't put the
duplicate
same songs. Yeah.
Well, one of the people that you had on your playlist that I love, and I had him on the podcast, was Aaron Jones. How fantastic is he?
He is I can't stop gushing about him. You know what's great about him too is that he's just the nicest, humble guy, and I think he's doing so much great things for rock and roll. He's getting on some great shows and festivals too. And I told him that too, man. I'm like, we're cheering for you. Don't think we're not cheering for you, man, because you are the future rock and roll, bro. So
seriously,
he's pretty excited.
His music is amazing.
Yeah.
And super cool guy.
We had him out on tour with us 2017. So I think it was on our during our RX record. He came out with us and did a whole American tour. And even back then, it was just, everything was great. The band was great, and he was digging it. And I think they were rolling in a minivan. And so those, it sucks for him because those guys are just sitting at home like us. He's got a hit song on the radio.
Can't tour, can't go to radio stations, can't meet the fans.
And he loves Seattle.
And for bands like you, I mean, you guys released a record in 2020. And so it's like you work on this record and then you can't really go out on the road and do anything with it.
Yeah, especially with like our kind of music too. We really feel like things work when we can get to different towns. You see it. You see when bands roll through towns, they get more radio play or get more, fans call and be like, "Can you play Theory of a Deadman? They just played last night." So yeah, it's torturing to just sit at home. That's honestly all we want to do. We just want to tour. If someone asked me, what would you rather do, make records or tour, I would say tour, for sure.
And to go back to where we were when we started talking about the horror stuff and whatever, there's a song on the record about Ted Bundy.
Kind of. Yeah. That was, our label freaked out when they heard that because they were just like, because the Ted Bundy movie or show came out, they didn't want me glorifying Ted Bundy. They were like, we don't like that you're talking about it. I'm like, it's not really about Ted Bundy. It's just about a guy that is like Ted Bundy. It's just an unloving guy that is just almost like a sociopath and just can't be loved. But they didn't like that. They wanted me to change the name of the song. I said no.
It is really weird because, there's so much true crime. People are such huge fans of it. Podcasts and television shows. And it's like, then you had people like Jonathan Davis for a while who collected the memorabilia. I think he had Ted Bundy's VW Bug for a while.
Seriously?
And then a few years ago, he sold it all off because he said that, like, the energy with this collection of all of this stuff was super weird.
It can get weird. Who else? I think, was it Son of Sam? Did he drive a Bug too? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I think Marilyn Manson, who all of his band members were named after murderers, right?
Half murderers and half, like, celebrity pinups, yeah.
Right. That's right.
Like Twiggy Ramirez and, Marilyn Manson, obviously, and exactly.
Yeah, Ramirez was, that's the Night Stalker.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Ramirez, he's got to be the worst. You watch it tonight.
I don't want to. And the other thing that you guys are always really good at is you kind of are able to make songs about kind of whatever's kind of going on in the world. And when I saw the song title for Affluenza, I went, oh, snap, because I lost my goddamn mind when that word became a thing in court.
Yeah.
It made me want to punch myself in the face.
Man, Affluenza. Yeah. It was that story about that kid who got drunk, I think, and killed some people with his car. And then he got off because the judge said that he was so rich that he wasn't brought up properly.
And he didn't know about consequences.
Right and wrong. And he had affluenza, which is like a sickness of being affluent. It's like an affluent disease. It's like, you're so
Sign
affluent.
Me up.
Yeah. You're so rich. It's like the Kardashians. I don't think they've ever been in a situation where I should say that. I don't know. I think, wasn't she robbed or something at gunpoint? But
yes.
Yeah. So, but that is, it was a great idea for a song to talk about how, like, a lot of us grew up with next to nothing and actually became much better people because we lived through how cool it was to just ride your bike down the street and have enough
come home
money
when the street lights came on.
Yeah, and it was a very nostalgic song about. It wasn't a bad thing, but it was about how great it was growing up like a blue collar family. Didn't have a lot of money, and you actually all grew up to be good people. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the roots of rock and roll, anyway.
Yeah.
There's very little rock and roll that comes out of privilege.
Yeah, it's it does come from a place of kind of hard knocks. It's the struggle. I guess it's the struggle that forces us to just want to be something more. And I was thinking this the other day how sad it is that a lot of bands come from some kind of small towns, and their whole idea is just can't wait to leave this small town for all the bright lights, that kind of cliche thing. But it's kind of true. There's always this kind of struggle to get the hell out of here, and I want to do something with my life. And, that's kind of like the Dolly Parton thing. She left and went to Nashville and became Dolly Parton. But
well, not only that, but I also have a theory about rock and roll that it wouldn't exist if women weren't bitches. And Theory of a Deadman has written plenty of music to justify my theory.
I don't know what to do with that song. Like, it's one of the most popular songs we have. It's grown over years. Bitch Came Back, like, and we just got, I think it just went platinum or something.
Or Bad Girlfriend. I mean, there's
Bad Girlfriend. It's like a double platinum song. We keep getting same thing. Keep getting plaques from different countries for that song, and we're like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the song has done so much for us, but yeah, as we get older, it gets tougher to sing some of those lyrics on stage. But it's nostalgia. It's like Motley Crue, right? Girls, girls, girls.
Yeah.
Strip clubs.
Yeah, and now all of the strippers in those clubs back in the day are like grandmothers now.
They are.
Which is weird.
That's true. Which is weird. And they have Motley Crue tattoos. But
in places they can't talk about.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that reminds me of who you said that was one of the famous groupies that has a podcast?
Pamela Desbar. Yeah, she's on the Pantheon podcast network.
Because I was thinking
she was one of the inspirations behind the Almost Famous like band dates. Like that, there was that whole generation of famous Cynthia Plastercaster and like all those famous groupies. Kind of thing? Yeah.
What was the girl's name in Little Rock? Little Rock something was her name.
I don't remember.
But she was famous for being a big groupie. I don't know. Look her up. Google Little Rock Lucy or something like that. I can't remember. But she came to one of our shows, and she was probably at that point, she was in her 50s or something like that. Just knocks on the bus, hello. She was famous. I think we took a photo with her or something.
Yeah, it's like it's part of that whole rock and roll thing. I mean, you've gone to a whole other level when you're getting musicians to get a boner so you can take a plaster cast of their penis. I mean, that's it. That's level. That's leveled up. And then what do you do with them? Do you will them to like your grandkids when you die? Like what happens to those? Do they go in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Like you can't just destroy a plaster cast of Jimi Hendrix's dick.
I was going to mention it. I didn't want to say anything, but then you did. It was great. Hendrix's plaster dick.
What do you do with that? You can't get rid of it.
What if you like someone asks you to do it and then it's just not as good as you thought it'd be, and then you're like, yeah, don't use that. Can you please break the mold? They're like, no.
So they make kits that you can make those at home, like make your own dildo kind of things. And I know a lot of guys in the military, before they deployed, made them for their wives. Yeah. And they said the process is incredibly humbling.
I was going to say, like, they probably like, oh, it looks so good on camera. But then, then they make a plaster of it. It's like, man, oh. And of course now they're
or you get stage fright when you're trying to make it, and then you can't.
But now their girlfriend or wife has it, and so then they'll show it to their friends. Their friends will be like, oh, I thought it would have been bigger.
Well, they show the dick pics too. I think a lot of guys don't realize that, like, like women know when we send you naked pictures that you're going to show them to your buddies, even though you lie to our face and say you won't. For some reason, guys don't understand that girls show other girls the dick pics you send, especially if they're
100%.
Unsolicited dick pics.
That's why guys, like, if you're not packing, don't send the pictures because, like you said, that would be sad. You meet a girl and you're like, I've seen you before.
All of you.
You're like, no.
Seen all of it.
Yeah, you got to be careful nowadays. That's why you just make sure there's no, like, I've got hand tattoos. So you got to be careful.
Yeah, because you can be identified.
You can be identified.
You get any kind of weird scarring, or if there's like a bend in it, or so, it's like your unusual suspects lineup. Like you're pretty easy to figure out who you are.
That's not me. Yeah, dude.
Are you sure?
It says your name tattooed on your hand. That's me. Yeah.
You have a mustache on your index finger.
We
know that it's you.
Totally. Oh man. Yep.
You never know what you're going to talk about on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
We've covered it all. We've literally covered it all. This is the best show you've ever had.
Well, I know I have to let you go. So before I have to let you go, in all seriousness, You guys were always so amazing, not only with WAF, but with me specifically. Anytime, we needed something from you or the band, you were always there. And it was very scary not having the radio station anymore for me, because I was there for 29 years. And then to start out and to launch the podcast and the website and all of that stuff. And then to have to start making these requests for interviews. And none of the bands that I am friends with that I've known over the years, nobody said no, and including yourself. And that means a lot. So I really appreciate your continued support. And I'm doing what I can to keep not only the New England rock scene together, because there's no other place for us all to go now, but also the podcast is spreading nationwide. I've got audience up in Canada now. It's in 98 countries. It's crazy.
Wow. Well, good for you. You deserve it. And yeah, we've known each other a long time. So I will come on your show once a week.
I would love it.
Just kidding.
Whenever you want to come on.
Seriously, just let me know.
And I'm starting to do things like you guys have to do, is that I had to launch like a merch line, could design all my own merch. And you guys just launched a whole new merch thing online, which is super cool.
Yeah. Isn't that fun?
It is fun. It's cool to be like, oh, what could we do with this? And to get the products and decide like, oh, I like that one better. And
what do you got? You got mugs, hats?
Mugs, beanies, hoodies, T-shirts,
all right. So
stickers. I made Christmas ornaments, so I have black and purple Christmas balls. I got all kinds of stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. That's your
I'm
colors.
working on baby clothes right now for all the people that made COVID quarantine babies. There's going to be this whole baby boom in 2021.
Right, with the names. You should do on your podcast. You should have see what do they have the contests? Best COVID baby names.
Well, there's nothing else to do. I mean, we don't have to worry about that with you because you're locked away in a house by yourself in LA, but there's a lot of other people making babies right now.
That's right. Yeah. And a lot of other people are watching Night Stalker alone.
Yeah.
At 2 a.m.
That's not going to be me. But I'll watch it like tomorrow at noon.
Do it.
And then I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, let me know.
I will. I appreciate hanging out with you today.
You got it. It was fun.
All the links, everything to find you and everything going on with the band, your podcast, everything will be linked in the show notes of the podcast. And I'll be sure to send you the link as soon as it posts so that you can send it out to everybody too.
100%.
You got to come on my video show, Cocktails in the War Room. We get together and drink every Tuesday night on the internet.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, I'll get you.
Nice Moscow Mule.
That's what I drink. Oh, we're in. 2 limes.
Perfect.
And we'll just wait for the zombies.
That's right.
Plenty of vodka at my house, I told you.
It's cheap.
All right, I'll talk to you later, Tyler. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
All right, I'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, see ya.
Bye, honey. It was good to see you. There he is, Tyler Connolly from Theory of a Deadman. I told you, we talked literally about everything. Doomsday prepping to dick pics and everything in between. All the links for everything we talked about are in the show notes. And don't forget to check out the custom playlist for this episode. There's a ton of great Theory of a Deadman music in there, including the stuff from their new record. Huge thanks to Digital Federal Credit Union at dcu.org and mistresscarrie.com for sponsoring this episode. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to click subscribe so you don't miss anything. You get a situation report every Monday through Friday with all your headlines in rock and music in less than 5 minutes. Weekly episodes every Wednesday. And when we have a guest, like Tyler promised he would be in Cocktails in the War Room, those interviews get put up as after-action reports. And while you're there, why not leave a comment and a 5-star review? And make sure if you know Theory of a Deadman fans that you share this episode with them as well. The Mistress Carrie podcast is a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. And if you're thirsty, you can join me every Tuesday night at 8:30 for Cocktails in the War Room live on my Facebook page.